Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Philip, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a game called Whack-A-Mole, where you have basically a hammer and moles are popping out and you have to try to hit them with the hammer. So in this game, we're going to be learning how to use clones. We're going to be using them where you see multiple moles are popping up at once. So if we didn't have clones, then we would have to make a bunch of different sprites so they would all pop out at once, but we will use clones for that. So let's click the create button and let's get started with this project. So once you click it, we will need to delete the sprite and we need to get the hammer and the mole. So first let's get the hammer, which you go upload, which I already have it here since before this video. So I click open and it's here. It's really big, so let's change the size to 50. That's still pretty big. Let's try 30 or something. And there we go. And we're going to start with, like always, with a when green flag clicked forever. What it has to do forever is like when you click, then it has to go up and down, right? Because it has to hit something. So you need an if, and then there's actually a code block for when you click down. If mouse down, that's the code block. If mouse down, then we need to go it down. So we need to turn its direction this way and then turn it back this way. So if you run it, you see, and I click, nothing happens, but I think it's happening, but it's going very fast, so you can't even see a thing. So we need a repeat. We need to repeat each of these a couple of times. So we get the repeat, then inside of the if, repeat this repeat 3 times, and then not in the same repeat, you need a different repeat. Oh, whoops. You need a different repeat. Put it there. Change to that. Delete. And run it, and you click, it goes down and up. Okay, but now we also need to make it always follow your mouse cursor. So let's get that go to mouse pointer block, and we need to do it forever. So we need to put it, the first thing, in the forever. And green flag, click the green flag, and as you see, it's always going to your mouse, and when you click down, it will go down and up. But as you can see, the mouse pointer is at the middle of the hammer, and that is because that middle of the hammer is at the middle of the image. And we want to make the middle of the image actually be the bottom of the hammer. So you go to the costumes, and you have to select this hammer. And that plus right here in the middle is the middle of the image. So we have to move this hammer and make sure that this very bottom is where the center of the image is. Let go and press the green flag. And when you hit it, you see the mouse pointer is at the very bottom of the hammer. And you click it, it looks more natural. Now we need to create the mole sprite by going over to let's choose the sprite, don't click it, go up to upload sprite, then this window will appear. I already have it from before, so click on it if you have it, press open, and it's there. That's way too big. We'll try 40. Let's try 30. 40 might be a bit too big. Okay, 30 is pretty good. So once you have the right size you want, get the when green flag clicked, get the forever, because we need to do something forever. We need it to create a clone of itself, right? Because we need it to get more moles to pop up than just one. So it's down here, this block, create clone of myself, because we're in the mole code. So myself is the mole. And let's press the green flag. And when you start it, you see nothing, you think nothing is happening, but actually it's creating clones, but right on top of each other. So we need to change that by getting a new block, which is right down here, when I start as a clone. So it's basically creating a clone, and then when the clone is created, it does this code, which we will write under this. So when I start as a clone, we needed to go to a random position, right? Because we don't want them all to start in the same place. So when I start as a clone, go to a random position, and let's try that. And as you see, there's so many moles getting cloned and appearing. So we need a wait. And we have to put that wait right under this create clone of myself, because we need to wait like 1 second, let's say, before it creates another clone. So it creates 1 clone per second. So when you start it, you see each second it will create a clone. The next step is to delete this clone after it's made, after waiting a bit. So like it needs to stay on the screen a bit, and then we need to delete the clone. So we need a wait. It needs to stay there, so we have to wait everything. So wait, let's say 2 seconds, because we need it to stay a lot. And then we need this right here. Delete this clone. It's this block. And you start the code, and then so every time it appears, it stays there 2 seconds and then disappears. As you might have noticed, this mole right here always stays right there because that is their original mole. It's not a clone. So we can go ahead and get rid of that by clicking this button, which is just basically a hide button. As you can see, the whole screen is blank, and that's because when they create a clone, when this mole creates a clone of himself, the clone appears hidden instead of shown. So we have to go ahead and get a show block and put it at the very beginning when it starts as a clone. And as you can see, the moles start appearing again. Now let's make a sound play if the hammer touches the mole. So we need to go to the hammer code and get an if. And inside of that if, we will need to put if mouse down and touching the mole, then it needs to do something. But as you can see, there's already an if here that says if mouse down. So we can just basically put this if right inside of this other if. And instead of getting if mouse down and that, we can only get if touching the mole. So if touching mole, then we need to play a sound. So let's go to the sounds and let's pick a sound. There's no sounds, so let's go to the sounds and choose a sound. I know a pretty good sound for this occasion, so the boing is pretty good. So let's play it, make sure it's the right one, go back to the code, and play sound boing. It's going to be here if you clicked on it. So play sound boing. If touching mole, play sound boing until done. So let's go. Let's run the code. Let's run the code. And the hammer isn't here. Where is the hammer? Well, it's hidden right here. So you can press the show button and there's the hammer. And try hitting down. You'll see it. If it touches it, it plays the boing sound. And it does what we wanted it to. Now, the next thing we have to do is make 2 variables. One for counting the total amount of moles that ever appeared, and one to count the moles that you've hit. So you need to go make a variable, and one of them is total moles, and the other one is hit moles. So once you have those variables, we need to set them to 0 at the very beginning. and we need to go to the mole, and right here, when the green flag clicked, we need to set both of them to 0. So total moles and hit moles. And then when it creates a clone, we need to change the total moles by 1, because whenever it creates a clone, a new mole appears. So the total moles will go up by 1. So it counts every mole. So total mole, change total mole by 1. And right before it creates a clone. And now we need to change the hit moles whenever it plays the sound boing, because if it's touching the mole, then it hit the mole. So change hit moles by 1, and let's run it. You see the variables went here, and hit the moles. See, the total moles that appear is 5, and then whenever you hit a mole, the hit moles changes by 1. Now we're ready for the next step, where we will basically say if the total moles equals 10, then stop all, say game over, and stop all. So let's get an if, because we need if the total moles equals 10. So if total moles, which is right here, total moles in the variables, and then operators equals. If total moles equal 10, for example, and put it if total moles equals 10, then we need to say, so at the looks, say game over for 2 seconds and stop all. And let's run it and test. So I hit it. Look at the total moles. It's 4, it's 5, it's 6, it's 7, and it goes up by 1. And then when it gets to 10, the hammer says game over. For 2 seconds and everything stops, nothing will work, which is just like we wanted it to do. Now we're ready for the second to last step, where basically we're going to get a background, and we're going to make the mole only appear on the flat surface of the background, not in the air. So let's click the choose a backdrop button, and we can see there's some good flat grounds. Let's keep looking. Oh, the savannah is good. The spaceship. I'll go with the savannah. And we're going to make sure the mole only appears on this flat ground. So as you can see, sometimes it will appear here in the sky. And we don't want that because that's weird. It's just floating. So we need to go to the mole, and we have to change some things. So now we have to make sure the X and the Y are going in a random position from here to here to here to here, like this, in this square of land. So we need the motion category, the go to X, and then we need the random, which is in the operators down here. So pick random. The X will be random and the Y will be random as well. So the random, we need the X would naturally be negative 240 to 240, but we don't want to see only half the mole right here. So let's do like negative 200 to 200. And then the Y would normally be over here negative 180, but it shouldn't start from under and only see the top, half the mole. So let's do like a 160, so it's like right here. Negative 160. And make sure it's not. And the negative 162, and then the middle of the screen is somewhere around, it's 0. So let's do it around 0. And then we have to replace this go to X and Y with this go to random position, because if we leave it there, it will still go in the sky because it's going to random positions. It's going to respect both of them. So there's the code. You run it, and you can see that none of them will go above this 0 line. Now the last step is to animate the mole,
you do that by going to the costumes, and what we want to do basically is we want to get multiple costumes, and we want to make the mole look like it's falling down the hole, and then it gets back up with little costumes. Like one time it's going to get a bit lower, then a bit lower, then a bit lower till it's not there, and then it goes a bit higher till it appears. So how we do that, first we need to duplicate this costume so we don't lose this original costume. Now we have two of the same costume, and we have to select a big portion of this mole, and not the whole thing, because basically what we want to do next is we want to move it lower so it looks like it's less. But maybe you will see that you moved it not a pixel to the right or a pixel to the left, so you need to get it perfect. So it's still a pixel to the right, so try it again. It's still a pixel. And once you get the right thing, you will save. You have two different costumes. One is big, one is a bit smaller, and now you need to duplicate this mole. Make sure it's the one that's lower so you don't have to move it too much. And then duplicate it, and you have two of the same, and you do the same. Except let's do it up to the teeth. And let's move it down. Make sure it's still not a pixel too much. And that is a pixel wrong off. And once you get the right one for that, you save it, and then you duplicate it again. You have two of the same, and you select like up to there, to the very bottom of its nose. Move it down and make sure that's a pixel too much to that side, a bit lower, and that is perfect. So now we have to change the order of these costumes, because first it needs to appear from the bottom, and then this one, and so it'll appear like that, then it'll go up, and then it needs to go down again. So we have to duplicate this one and put it right after, because you need to change. So it goes from the very lowest, higher, the highest, and then one lower, and then we need this to duplicate this one and put it there. So from lowest all the way to here, and then the very last one, this one, where it's on the ground, we need to put it all the way down here. So put it, and then let's run it, and let's look at these. So the very bottom, then higher, the highest, one lower, another lower, and the lowest. That is exactly how we want it. And now we have to code in the mole to make sure. We need to change the costume of it, and then at the very beginning set it to the very bottom mole. So at the very beginning we need to set the costume, so switch costume to mole 7. Okay, then after that we need to make sure that the mole changes its costume to the next costume. So we will need the next costume block from the looks, and we need to do that 7 times in total, because there's 7 costumes, but here there's already 1 costume. So since there's only 6, we will be using a repeat, and then repeat inside the repeat next costume. And since 3 of the costumes make it go up and 3 of it make it go down, we will actually make 2 repeats, each with repeat 3, and in the middle we're going to put a weight, because if there's no weight, then it will be the exact same thing as repeat 6 times. So let's move this, let's duplicate this, put it right under, and then put the weight in between. Delete this clone, and then wait. Let's try 1 second, okay? Let's see how that works. So you can see the costumes are changing, and when you hit it, it makes the boing sound and goes down. So after that, you can make some small adjustments. Like, for example, you can play with this number right here. And if you do like 0.5, you will see that more moles will appear. And you can play with a lot of other stuff. And you can go ahead and name your project now, because it's the end. So name it like Whack-A-Mole. Whack-A-Mole. And save it. And thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. I'll see you next time for another project.